Let's talk about an alternative to the above problem. If we were to draw out what we have there and we see that our person is walking 4 miles to the west. I'm trying to get a straight line here. It's not very straight though. But that's 4. It's straight to the west. And then they turn and walk to the southwest 2 miles. And we talked about how southwest has a specific definition, and it means that this angle is 45 degrees. So that means that if this person went directly to the west and then turned and went southwest, if this is 90 and this is 45, then this big angle here would be 135 degrees. And the problem wants to know how far that person is from home. Well, the above video talks about finding the component form and going about it that way, but there's a way that you can do this based on all the things that you've already learned that is much easier, and that is to use the law of cosines. If we're trying to find this side and we use the law of cosines, we can pop that into our law of cosines. And since this x is across from the 135 angle, we can use the cosine of 135 degrees. And when I do that, I get roughly 5.596. Now, I will tell you that if you want to get the answer that my open math is going to get for your particular kind of problem, you want to make sure that you round this out several decimal places, because the other answer is going to be affected by this one, because it then asks you what's the direction, and it asks you north of east, what is the direction. And let's just draw another little quadrant this way. North of east, when we talk about that, north of east is right here, and it says what's the direction that they would be going, and they want to know the angle. Well, if this angle is 45 degrees, then this angle is also 45 degrees. So those two angles are equal to each other. And if I take and I try to find the little angle in here, it's actually asking, let me draw it a little bit better here. So if I go west and then I go southwest, this is 135 this way, and according to our rules about parallel and perpendicular lines, if I look at a parallel line going this way, then if this angle is 45, this angle is also 45. So that whole angle is 45. And when I draw my picture, let's just draw it again and label the angles. When I draw my picture and I go out my 4 and down my 2, and I have my angles that are drawn there, and I'm trying to figure out how to get back to my starting point and what that angle would be. If this whole thing, this whole angle over here, make sure that I get it drawn right. if this whole angle is 45 degrees, and I'm trying to find the direction, and in the problem they're asking you for the angle that is north of east. If this is east, this would be north of east. So if this whole angle is 45 degrees and I could find this one, I could subtract it from 45 and that would give me my direction that that problem is asking for. So I could use law of cosines again because I know this side. What did we say that it was? 5.596. If I pop that into my law of cosines using this angle and these two sides, I can do 4 squared equals 2 squared plus 5.596 squared minus 2 times 2 times 5.596 times cosine of my alpha, and I find out that alpha is somewhere around 30.3 degrees. And again, you want to round out further if you're doing my open math to make sure that you get the accurate answer that they're looking for. But if I subtract that from 45, I get roughly 14.7 degrees. And that's this angle. And the only reason that we're looking for that angle is because in that problem, it actually says to find the number of degrees north of east. And one of your homework problems is asking that too. And so you want to make sure that you're finding the direction that they're asking. They specifically say the angle that is north of east. So that is why you're finding that angle. And this method is a little bit easier to understand and a little more doable than the one that's in that previous video.